Hello and welcome to this extra little video. I don't know if it's going to be a little video. I hope it will, because me myself, I don't like to look at videos that takes hours and hours and hours. But I was doing the monthly horoscopes today, and I had a lot of people being angry with me lately because apparently, not all of them, but some of them. Apparently the horoscopes were too late, and they're used that I as well with me answering emails. I mean, I have a moon in Aries, so my reaction mode is very quickly. So I'm used to quickly answer emails. It's just my state of being. You know, when someone asks you something, I immediately react, but I didn't lately for a couple of weeks, and that prompted me into making this video, because I want to make this video about, I'm probably gonna make a title like disease and connecting with something that is higher than ourselves, which is God, or if you don't believe in God, which is the universe, a higher self, the creator, if you like. And because the reason why I didn't was because I was ill. I wasn't ill very severely. I mean, I have a lot of planets in Scorpio, so I do like a bit of drama there. But being ill always has a meaning, and especially in astrology, and that I want to talk about. So that was the reason why the horoscopes were a bit later. And I also went, it was actually after my holiday, I went on a lovely holiday, but and during that holiday I had one book with me, and a book that I just picked out because I like the author. She is called Connie Palmen, which is a Dutch writer. I really love how she writes, and quite often she puts a little bit of astrology in it as well, which is quite fascinating. And in that book, I didn't know what the subject was about. I just buy a book and I'll see. I want to read one novel whilst I'm going on a holiday. And that novel was about it was actually about the real story, or some real story about two poets, an English poet and an American one, Sylvia Plath and Ted Hughes. I never heard of them. I didn't know their story at all. But in that story, that Sylvia Plath had a lot of sinusite problems, which was actually, I didn't know that I was, I wasn't ill during my holiday, but I know exactly what she was going through every now and then, because I had that in the past, you know, some problems here with the sinusite. And after, maybe I shouldn't have read that book. Maybe it gave me sinusite without me even knowing it. No. But when I came back home, I got that disease very heavily. And I'm very prone to it because, you know, air conditioning, flying, all of that is not really good for the sinuses. And so I was reading about it and got it, which is weird, isn't it? But anyway, what I'm trying to say is that diseases, it's such a funny thing, isn't it? Because it obliges you to stand still, basically. And it obliges you to, even with this, it's not a silly disease, but it's certainly not a heavy disease like cancer or having, leukemia, or having tons of other diseases that are so severe. But I'm talking about even having a flu. It can really drag you down, and it can really lower your energy so much that you are obliged to surrender, you could say. And for a person like me with lots of aspects in my chart that isn't really about surrendering, although I can easily do that in some circumstances, but not when I want it. So I didn't want to get ill. I had tons of things to do, and I wanted to, it's like, that feeling when you have you're ill and you don't want to be ill. instead of, it's actually saying no to what is. It's actually saying no to God, if you like. It's actually saying no to, it's actually really, really resisting. And don't get me wrong, I don't think that you have to be the kind of person that, oh yes, what comes to me and you know, allow and all that kind of new age stuff. No. But when you look a bit at astrology, it can often give you such a tremendous amount of insights. That's what I want to talk about. You know, astrology can give you such an amount of insight in your disease. And secondly, it's also a warning and sort of a red flag, you could say, that something is about to shift and that something is about to improve drastically. But when you are in the midst of it, you don't see it. And you are, you know, when you're like me, a bit of a character like me, you just go against it. And it's easy to go against it when it's, you know, the sinusite thing here, and getting even more angry and getting even more of a headache, and my ear was also having problems and all of that. But when you have a serious illness and especially when you love someone and someone's seriously ill, then it's not easy to say, yeah, you have to allow and you have to accept, it's a sign and all of that. You know, that's absolutely can sound like crap. It certainly did to me when I personally have experienced that when my dad was very, very ill, and I was so angry with God. I was so angry. I thought, why the hell are you doing this? What's the point? What's the point in not being able to talk and not being able to walk and not being able to do anything? You know, that stupid, I thought it was a stupid sign of, you know, how do you say that? Like, it's sort of a curse or a sort of a punishment that is indoctrinated in Christian upbringing, you could say, certainly in my upbringing. But as you go through that phase of being angry and all of that, you also go through a healing phase. And that is, of course, afterwards. Afterwards, you do realize, I remember that my dad, when he was so ill, that even during that time, he said, this has a reason. And he was really not the easiest guy on planet Earth. He really wasn't philosophical or anything, but it made him become a bit more spiritual, so to speak. And he was talking about God, and he was talking about, you know, when he had that stroke and the experiences that he had. He saw a lot of beautiful nuns, he said. Still up until this day, I doubt if he was serious, because, you know, he was that kind of a character. He could always, you know, he was a bit unusual. Having the sun opposite Uranus gives people that trait of sometimes doing things unexpectedly. So I don't know if that was real, that story about the nuns that were very beautiful and that were calling for him. But he made his point that as awful as that disease was, it also changed him, transformed him, so to speak, and transformed him into a better spiritual being, you could say. Not to become an angel, but you know, to really appreciate what is very important in life, and even with a disease like I just had, you know, your life kind of stops whether you like it or not. And if you're resisting it, it gets worse, like in my case. But and you have to stand still and you have to look at what really, really is important. And then when you see the reactions of, and I know I would be the same. Hey, what is my video? What is my horoscope? I don't know why I'm doing this accent now, but what is my horoscope? I deserve it. Yes, I want to see it. You think, is this all that matters for these people, to see your horoscope? I hope that my horoscopes that I do, and the reason why I'm still doing them, is because it gives a whole bunch of information about how astrology works. And it also gives, I always try to do my horoscopes in a positive way. Although, you know, what is going on in August and September is not always that positive. It's certainly not with Mars and Saturn, but I also try to do that. And that's why I'm still doing them. But, you know, it makes you think. It makes you think of what is important in life. And sometimes it's really a tragedy, isn't it? That people really have to have serious diseases, like a serious burnout, for instance. I see a lot of people here who do have burnouts, completely, and quite often these are people who are very controlling, who just going on and on and on, and then their body says, or God says, you could say. So your body is also connected to God. Your body is also connected to what is bigger than you, and it's important to listen to your body, you could say, which is a very practical thing, but it's really true. And what else did I want to say? So yes, it can bring you closer to what is really important in your life, having a disease, in exploring what is going on. And then astrology can really help. Although I think when you do have a disease, it's like an alarm bell, like something you're doing is not, or something that is happening in your life, or something that you're doing is not really in line with the divine, you could say. That doesn't mean to say that when you're ill that you're a bad person, at all, not at all. I don't believe in that sort of crap. I believe that it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to get closer to your purpose, actually. And that's because of my experiences that I have with people that I know very much who were very ill and who all said the same thing. They all said to me, especially also with people with diseases like cancer and who were dying, they said, if I only had been more kind to X, Y, Z person, or if I only had shown my love a bit more than this or that. So this is really important, you know. We don't have to get really big diseases before we can grasp that idea. And we can live very intensely, but also very present in the moment, and in being aware of what's going on around you, and seeing the blessing of that, even when it's just a tiny, even when you're living alone and you just have your cat or you just have your dog, well, embrace that. But especially what I also do believe is it sets you on a path of search, which is, you know, Chiron, for instance, is associated with the wounded healer, and it is a search for knowledge in that, and an understanding of yourself as well. And astrology, as I said, is a big tool for that, you know. But I don't mean to say that you have to dismiss doctors or you have to dismiss the regular. No. I here in Ghent, I mean, Ghent is it's a bit of an alternative city here in Belgium, and you don't have the traditional doctors with the white coats and the stethoscopes around their neck and the big egos. No, they're quite humble, actually. Or I'm just lucky. Could be the case as well. But you need you need them too, to exclude if something serious is going on. I don't believe in the fact that if your child, for instance, has pneumonia, or how do you call that, you need to give the child antibiotics, for Christ's sake. I mean, you have to use your common sense. But whilst that is going on a physical level, which doctors are there for the physical side, but don't expect for doctors to be there for the other realms, which is your emotional state, which is your psychological state. And then an astrologer can surely help you. I mean, you know, in this simple disease that I had, and still suffering a tiny little bit, but it's going better now. And it's very simple. You don't need to know a lot of medical astrology or whatever, which is a very complex field, by the way. But you can, you know, simply say, okay, this area here, ears and the nose and the head, that's Aries. So you can, and people who suffer from that mostly have a moon in Aries, or a sun in Aries, or an ascendant in Aries. But the moon quite often is the body as well in the astrology. So, and you look at the dispositor, so you look at the ruler of that sign, which in my case is Mars, you know, the ruler of Aries. And you don't have to be really a big astrologer to see what was happening in my chart. So Mars did trigger during that period, and because Mars was so slow at the moment, it did trigger my Saturn and Neptune opposition. So Saturn and Neptune which was exactly what was going on. So, but then you have an understanding of what is going on. You have an understanding that the problem that you're having is Aries Libra related, because every disease is related to its opposite sign as well. So if you have an Aries problem, like a headache, there's also which is Mars, there's also something going on with Venus. You know, it's about asserting versus pleasing. You know, that kind of thing that's out of balance, or you're too assertive or you're too people pleasing, too much. You know, it's either one way or the other. The same, I had a similar problem with my toe. Which is the axis of Pisces and Virgo, you know, the analytical Virgo versus the feeling of the Pisces energy, or the more heart energy, you could say, of the Piscean. And all these things, they give you a little bits of information that you can work with. Of course, you need to take medication if you have to, but what I did was, I'm blessed with a sister who is a herbalist, so she taught me some herbs that I could to overcome this, and that's a slow process, you know. But when it's really severe, I don't believe in the fact that you have to suffer like hell. No, you have to use your common sense, especially with kids. I mean, with kids, it's really important. You do, you know, that's a whole other thing. That's a whole other video, you could say. But so you're starting to understand yourself a bit better. Why? This is on a physical level, but it resonates. It has synchronicities with other things going on in your life, and you can use that. Standing still, you can use that not to ponder and to analyze and so on, but just to feel, or try to feel, what is God telling me here through that disease. And once you understand it, you're healing. But you need to feel it first, you know. You can't do everything through this little process here as much as you like. You need to feel it as well and go towards those feelings. That's healing. You cannot do healing whether it is a serious thing or a small thing. You can't do healing just skipping this here. So yeah, that was my little experience that I wanted to share about illnesses and how it can, you know, can put you a little bit closer to your Creator, to God, if you like, to what He is trying to tell you. And try to implement that, and giving yourself patience and so on. And you will see that the moment that the transits are stopping, you will see that things are clearing up. So, and I'm talking about this specifically because we are going to have this energy of Mars and Saturn conjunction in August and September. And this Mars-Saturn conjunction, if that occurs in any sign, Mars-Saturn, I see that quite a lot as disease, you know. So sometimes people, it depends on the whole chart, of course, but sometimes it is disease and it is surgery, and it is not necessarily, but it is a kind of cutting out the disease, you could say. So I think, so I thought that might be useful. So having said that, I wish you a good health. I wish you a very good health during these days, and during these days that on a collective level there's a lot happening, but also on an individual level there is a lot happening to us. And every now and then, standing still, assimilating, is not a bad thing at all. Having said that, have a very, very good day, or evening, or night, if you're looking at this during the night. And thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. If you find this useful, this little video, just spread it around. Just spread it around. Thanks again. Bye.